Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my YouTube channel as we take a look at the Gemini Full Moon happening on November 27th, 2023 at 4:16 a.m. That's Eastern Time. So be sure and adjust for your location on the planet. The Gemini full moon is occurring at 4 degrees of Gemini, 51 minutes, exactly opposite the sun at 4 degrees of Sagittarius, 51 minutes. So we round up to 5 degrees, which is where this Gemini full moon is illuminating something for you in this area of your chart. Now, this would signify information, ideas, details, data, stories coming to light. What has not been seen, acknowledged. This can even be the high beam truth shining down on another side of a story, more information, and also asking you to be aware of the details you didn't see, because part of how this feels is that the Gemini energy, it actually wants to have the ability to go back and forth. It's conversations, it's exchanging ideas. It's also the duality between needing time to think before speaking. It's the left and right brain hemispheres. So this is the energy of something being revealed or coming forward that can provide more understanding. This is certainly the energy of the mind and perceptions of what you are looking at and how that determines what you see. And with the Gemini full moon, we're also being asked to keep our minds open. Stay open to stories, narratives, information you didn't previously know or understand, because the full moon will certainly illuminate them. Now, we only have the moon in Gemini, and then on the other side of the chart, you can see there's Mars, the sun, and Mercury all in Sagittarius, and each one of these is significant. Now, Mars is traveling behind the sun at this time. The Mars energy met up with the sun, had an exact conjunction at 24 degrees of Scorpio on November 17th. Then the sun moved ahead. So now Mars is behind the sun, and it provides a push of forward energy. And this is what you could be feeling. Something is pushing you to keep going, almost like you have that energy right behind your back. You have something there wanting you to move forward, to keep going with the momentum. This Mars in Sagittarius can be quite motivating and enthusiastic. It wants you to move forward in some endeavor or some area of your life, and gives you the strength, stamina, and energy to do so. So we will have Mars traveling behind the sun. And again, you could feel that there's some things that you're just being guided towards. You're being guided forward, and it's the Mars providing that background strength that is showing you where to go and what is the best use of your energy. Sagittarius is where we are supported in going beyond what we've known before. To move outside of a comfort zone, see something different, perhaps foreign, go bigger, expand our energy, be willing to not know the answers, be willing to not fully understand something until you experience it, which is part of how Sagittarius works, which is you have this inspiration, this call of your soul, this sense of I have to do this, I have to go for it, let's just see. And you go for it and you learn along the way more about something, even firsthand. Now, because Sagittarius is mutable fire, it's about flexibility, adaptability, being able to adapt to the environment, to the circumstances, and allowing that agility to be a strength. So the strong Sagittarius energy here wants to stretch us, wants us to go beyond what we thought we could do or handle. And then if you look at this Gemini influence, Gemini is the details of how it's going to come together and line up. And so this could be having the idea to undertake a project, to do something that you're excited about. And then the moon in Gemini is, okay, now let's get down to what it's going to look like. How are we going to manage it? How are we going to put it together and make sure we have all the correct information and details? So strong Sag here with this Gemini full moon. And with this Mercury in Sag, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So Mercury has more prominence in this Gemini full moon chart. And this Mercury is actually in shadow territory for the upcoming Mercury retrograde that will begin in December. It starts at 8 degrees of Capricorn, and Mercury then comes back to 22 degrees of Sagittarius, where he will station direct on January 1st and 2nd. So here we have Mercury in his retrograde shadow territory and also making an exact square to Neptune at 24 Pisces retrograde. And what it feels like with this chart is that there's things that you're not going to fully know or see, and you could be sensing that. Now, a square, especially an exact square to Neptune, is deception, lies, untruths, missing parts of the story, feeling something is off, sensing that, okay, I think there's more that's going to come through here. I just don't know when, I don't know how, but I don't have the full story. I don't have all the details. And then you have the moon in Gemini saying that it's good to just wait it out, to collect more information, because the moon, Mars, and the sun are all squaring Saturn at nearly 1 degree of Pisces. So 0 degrees Pisces, 58 minutes. When we look at this full moon chart, each of these luminaries and planets already had an exact square to Saturn that required standing still, to not put something into motion yet, which is hard for an inspired Mars. And here this Saturn in Pisces has basically been at a standstill, requiring you to check in with what you're choosing to ensure you're not repeating karma. You're not going down a path you've already been down. When I look at the fullness of this chart, there's something about a full stop here to not repeat yourself. Don't repeat something you've already learned, you've already moved past, and don't allow it to pull you back either. There's something about really understanding what you've already accumulated, the knowledge, the wisdom, the experiences you've already had. And to check in with that Pisces energy of your higher self and your intuition, which is strong in this chart, since we have, as I said, the luminaries and Mars squaring this Saturn and Pisces, plus the ruling planet Mercury squaring Neptune and Pisces. So both of these Pisces energies are strengthened by squares, which means your ego doesn't like it. And that's the Sagittarius energy. The Sagittarius energy is independent. I'll do what I want. I know how to handle this. I know what's next. I got this covered. And here's your higher self saying, do you? Or have you broken a routine? Have you broken a pattern? Have you really unwound something that maybe was keeping you limited? And these are there's a lot of wisdom here in Pisces that you can easily override with this force of Sagittarius energy. Sometimes that Sag energy has to learn things the hard way or has to learn things twice because your ego or the inspired energy or parts of yourself, they think they've got it covered. It's like, I've got it. I can handle it. I'm going for it. It's going to be the best thing ever. But you've been through enough to know that your intuition is perhaps suggesting otherwise and wants you to just take a beat, take a moment, just get quiet, tune in, and expect that your energy could feel fractured. It could feel like your mind is saying one thing, your inspirations and your desires to do something and to get moving is saying another, and then your intuition is actually guiding you with something very important to integrate or valuable to understand. So when I see this chart with strong mutable energies, mutable signs are Gemini, Sag, and Pisces, and they're creating a T-square. When we have a T-square, we actually look to the missing mutable sign for support, answers, and direction. And in this case, it's Virgo, because Virgo is what's missing. Now, if you see this T-square, think of it as a table or a chair with only 3 legs. And it's going to be unsteady. It's going to be unbalanced. It's going to wibble wobble. And so then when you bring in the missing component, the 4th part of this, which would be Virgo, then you're going to have something balanced and clearer. And what this means is to be discerning and go slow, which could be difficult during this full moon because the Gemini energy and the mutable signs like action, like ideas, like things to be flowing and in motion. But I just feel the higher message, the higher energy here. Don't repeat the karma you've already completed. You don't have to jump back on that merry-go-round. You don't have to, it's like interact or engage or put energy towards something that you've already moved past. And I feel like this is where sometimes that Sagittarius energy will overlook it. It'll be like, no, I've got this. I'm not going to repeat anything, which is exactly what you want to make a promise to yourself about. And part of what is shifting in this chart is how you're thinking about it, the story you're telling yourself, or the understanding you're arriving at around what you were learning. And here's Saturn in Pisces, again at 1 degree, being like, what have you learned? What has spiritually shifted you? What have you come to understand about your own energetic power and how you use it? And how are you going to make a new choice now? To think of it differently, to see it differently. And this could be something that you have to practice and reiterate in order for it to really land in your mind. I'm thinking about when I read my son a bedtime story, and we read the same story over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like, okay, I have this story memorized because of the repetition. That's what this is. You keep giving yourself the new higher version over and over again to not get pulled back into anything that you've completed. And this Mercury squaring Neptune, this Mercury could have a hard time really trusting that it wasn't all you thought it was. Because this Neptune squaring Mercury dissolves a perspective, asks you to let go of something maybe where you thought you were right. And that's something that Sagittarius loves. Sagittarius loves to be right and loves to let you know about it And yet part of the higher expression of Sagittarius is that being right, quote unquote, can happen at various levels of truth, at various energy expressions, various stages of your journey. And each of those opinions or viewpoints has its own energy tied into it. And I feel like this Mercury is actually coming into contact with something that wasn't realized previously. It changes the story, it shifts it in a way that could even be humbling. So this is a Gemini full moon to keep your mind open to what you don't know. Maybe if you were locked in to a particular opinion, ideology, thought process, there's something here that wants you to be mentally agile, especially as new information comes to light, including what was covered up, what's been covered up, what hasn't been fully disclosed, that could certainly be revealed with this Gemini full moon energy, where things are not what they have appeared to be in some area or in some way. So I hope that this Gemini full moon gives you good information to work with, understand, sit with, contemplate. Again, you want to identify where you have 5 degrees of Gemini in your chart. And I have a video here on YouTube called How to Find a Degree Point in Your Astrology Chart. That's a tutorial video where I show you how to look for these degree points if you need assistance with that. And also with this strong Mars here, this can be argumentative energy, fighting over opinions, ideologies, fighting over, what we deem is best. And I feel too like this energy can be quite volatile because of how Mars in Sag will conquer all, wants to go out and do things in a big way. And then here's the mind being like, is this what I should do? Is this the best approach? So thoughtfulness and mindfulness will be important because there probably will be a lot of action, energy, and movement during the full moon as well. If you haven't done so already, please join me in the 2024 Soul Growth Astrology program that's still on sale for a limited time. You can get the full program for $33 with coupon code 2024. And it's a program that goes into all the energies of 2024, including the Mars retrograde in Leo, how Venus is going to be significant in June. We look at the galactic grand trine energy, which is evolving us as a species. We talk about the eclipses, Jupiter moving into Gemini, and so much more. And it's also one of my most thorough presentations on Pluto in Aquarius and the energies we will be working with into 2044. So do check out the program. I hope to see you there as you continue to expand your astrology knowledge, and wishing you a beautiful Gemini full moon.